Part 6. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 51. Ye Yang's youngest sister Ye 11 tugged at the hem of her brother Ye Chi's clothes. On her fair face, her big dark eyes looked at her own field. She pointed in that direction with her little finger and opened her mouth to say something. Brother Kikai, the little tomato has turned into a super big lantern. The stars also looked in the direction of the little girl's finger. Oh, it's true. A small tomato plant that was originally the size of a potted plant rose up from the ground and grew into a towering tree in the blink of an eye. What's even more outrageous is that the small green tomatoes hanging on it also turned into red lanterns as if on steroids. The kind where the figure explodes dozens of times. Now there are 2 or 3 of them, too many to count anyway, and the branches are covered with fruits that are so heavy that the tomato poles can no longer hold up and are teetering. Not only has the size increased dramatically, but the quantity has also increased several times. The stars and citizens were all surprised and shouted 666 in their hearts. At the same time, the original cultivated land also expanded automatically, and one plant after another rose up from the ground, waving its branches and leaves, growing wildly, and gradually getting bigger. Small pumpkins turned into super pumpkins, and small green vegetables turned into giant green vegetables. The cauliflower also grew into a giant cauliflower the size of their house. In the blink of an eye, there was a green space in front of their village, and countless crops and plants spread all the way. As far as the eye could see, the endless black land sprouted countless crops in the blink of an eye, including peas, cucumbers, eggplants, spinach, and peppers. The seeds they sowed in the afternoon almost in the blink of an eye, they all complete the entire process from rooting to maturity. If there are no bees and insects, then the breeze will pollinate it, and it can grow on its own without sunlight, rain, and dew. The miracles of nature were taking place in front of them within a few minutes, especially when the crops were so big. In the blink of an eye, their own vegetable garden turned into a giant's vegetable garden. This strange and familiar crop was right in front of them, bringing them a sense of wonder. The visual and psychological impact is definitely n 1 times greater. No wonder Lao Qin asked us to take out all the seeds and scatter them as soon as he came back in the afternoon. It turned out that this was the case. The star citizens looked at it with bright red faces and a trance. They were all rejoicing and dancing like they were celebrating the new year. I told you that Lao Qin was driving the 2 young men to the hillside behind. It turns out that one of them is the Star Lord. That little girl is the Star Master, right? Just because she gave us Mu Star a bumper harvest tonight, I decided to forgive her for indiscriminately extracting Mu Star's power a year ago. I say what we should pay attention to now is that the attributes attached to the Star Master this time are huge. One seed we plant in the future will be worth dozens of seeds we planted in the past. Ah, yes, we really have to pay attention to this. It is much better than the last bullshit Star Master. Moreover, the concentration of wood element in the wave of wood element gifts made by the Star Master is also very high. Do you feel it? I used to think that the wood element communicated by Star Master Zhengzhou when he signed the contract was already particularly strong, but it seems to be even stronger now. That's not right. Didn't this little girl conclude a contract a year ago? Although the Mu Su gifted at that time had no effect and was directly taken to the battlefield on our Mu planet, I still felt the fluctuations that escaped. Here we are, what's going on now? Second gift. Don't talk about this, hurry up, take advantage of this good opportunity to practice. Lao Fang, Sister Zhen, your powers have been stuck in the original state for a long time, hurry up and take advantage of this opportunity to make an impact and level up one more level. It can add another 100 years to your lifespan. Yes, practice quickly. The faces of the wood-type superpowers all glowed with joy, and then they didn't care much and just found a flat place to sit on the ground. They didn't know how long this wave of gifts would last, so they had better hurry up. Other people who did not have wood-type powers felt much better after being washed away by this wave of wood elements, but they were unable to practice. They could only stand and continue to watch the spectacular scene of the wood origin star's resurrection. After all, this scene was rare to see in a century, so they had to take a few more looks. Aunt Ye and Sheng Xiao's mother-in-law and daughter-in-law even took out their optical cameras to take pictures of this grand scene excitedly. If this wave of videos is posted on Xinhuang, it will gain millions of followers. It's a pity that the signal base station on the Muyuan star has some malfunctions, and the information reception is not good. Now there is strong wood element interference, so the star network cannot be connected for the time being, and the video cannot be sent. I can only send it to my relatives and friends outside. Send a text message to express your excitement at the moment. Aunt Ye's husband, Chef Shui, didn't accompany his wife back to her parents' home because she had something important to do. Now he regrets it to death. He is usually a polite and honest person and keeps making Aunt Ye cry on the communication. Aunt Ye is so happy that she covers her face. He smiled with a proud look on his face. Okay, now I know that she returned to her parents' home this time. News about Mu Yuanxing's recovery has now begun to spread in a small circle of friends of the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Sheng Xiaoxiao, a plastic best friend, still didn't believe in evil. She really didn't sleep in the middle of the night. She got up and opened the curtains, widening her eyes and looking at the sky. This is incredible. There is really a green light the size of a rice grain shining in the line connecting the 5 source stars. Oh, Sheng Xiaoxiao is really lucky. Her best friend's makeup-free face immediately became excited, and she sent group messages to her other good friends one by one. Why don't you sleep? Get up and have fun. If you missed today's event, don't blame my good sisters. I didn't remind you that Mu Yuanxing has revived. So, countless men and women were blown up by her bombardment. One by one, they opened the curtains and looked up at the sky. They were suddenly excited, and the sleepy people ran away, and everyone got high. Sheng Xiaoxiao's friend list happened to include Sheng Beining. As one of the 3 most popular generations of the family, Sheng Beining was also the star master of the fire source star and was the object of all the Sheng family's fawning. As a member of the Sheng family, the young lady naturally hopes to make friends with this eldest lady. Fortunately, although Sheng Xiaoxiao's family was very remote, she had helped Sheng Beining before she was recognized back to the Sheng family. The two naturally communicated and became friends, although they were not necessarily friends. The kind of best friend who talks about everything, but there are still friendships that are more than just friends. So after Sheng Xiaoxiao chatted with her family and friends one by one, she thought about it and gritted her teeth and decided to disturb Sheng Beining and Marshal Huo's wonderful nightlife, and also sent her a message. After all, Sheng Beining is the star master of the fire source star, and Marshal Huo is the star master of the dark source star. The restart and vitality of the wood source star also have extraordinary significance for their other 6 source star masters. It's on the shelves, it's on the shelves, the exciting time has come. Thank you for your support. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 52. In the lobby of a villa in the Feng family, there were 4 people sitting in the large living room smelling of tea, 3 men and 1 woman. The man sitting on the single European-style sofa on the left is cold and aloof, with a frosty elegance. The low-key and luxurious shirt on him is even more expensive. This is the imperial prince who once communicated with Bai Qianchun in the communication. Lu Yuchen. Feng Yuyu was sitting on the single sofa on the right, crookedly, with his long legs casually resting on a low stool beside him. His peach blossom eyes were half squinted and he yawned, with a hint of red at the end of his narrow eyes. He looked very sleepy. Sitting on the couch in the middle was a man and a woman. They were Huo Quancheng and Sheng Baining. The man was cold and handsome, and the woman was lively and elegant. They were a perfect couple. This is another small internal gathering. With the bond of Fen Yuyu, it is not incomprehensible that the imperial prince Lu Yuchen, as his cousin, can sit together with the first marshal of the empire and the members of the Sheng family, the first family of the empire, to discuss matters. Therefore, even if their appointment was made openly in the Feng family, the outside world would not make random guesses that the imperial prince, the Sheng family, and the first marshal had secretly colluded together. But in fact, before Sheng Baining and Fen Yuyu returned to the family, Lu Yuchen and Huo Quancheng were already good brothers who had a lot of secret dealings with each other. So this time Lu Yuchen didn't hesitate and came directly. At this time, Huo Quancheng was looking at Sheng Baining, who was looking down at the news with tenderness on his face, while Lu Yuchen's phoenix eyes that had lost their coldness were looking at Huo Quancheng and his wife and his cousin Fen Yuyu with interest. He looked at it with traces of traces. After having some free time recently, he was a little curious about the four-corner relationship between these three people, oh no, plus Baichi and Chun, which was recently circulated in the aristocratic circles. According to rumors, his cousin Fen Yuyu and Miss Sheng Baining were childhood sweethearts and had a close relationship. However, Marshal Huo snatched her love away from Sheng Baining. Later, his cousin reluctantly gave her blessing and offered her blessing in order to make the two of them happy. People randomly find a woman to marry. As for his cousin talking good things about his beloved wife at the banquet, and showing how sweet and loving he was, no one in the aristocratic circle believed it. Everyone thought he was forcing a smile on his face, and that wife he had never even seen. It's just a decoration, otherwise I wouldn't have brought it out for everyone to see at several banquets in the past few days. So more bees and butterflies came one after another, trying to take his wife's place, comfort his wounded heart, and become his true love. After all, Fen Yuyu is the sole heir to the Duke's palace, the master of the Jinyuan star, and the richest man in control of the Feng group. Investing in him is more guaranteed to make a profit than investing in Lu Yuchen, an imperial prince with several brothers. So the banquets these days have almost become a blind date for Fen Yuyu alone. This is why Fen Yuyu is so exhausted today. Lu Yuchen sees no less than 3 women. His cousin's sinister and venom-spraying mouth couldn't stun everyone away. Thinking about the perseverance of those women, if they can put their thoughts on the battlefield, they might become like Sheng Baining, an outstanding female officer. But what is the relationship between my cousin and Bai Qianchun? A glint flashed in Lu Yuchen's eyes. According to his investigation, although the two were married, they didn't spend much time together. Did they really fall in love at first sight and truly love each other as his cousin said? Or is Bai Qianchun just a decoration as the rumors say? He was more inclined to the latter. When he talked to Bai Qianchun before, he didn't feel her love for her cousin, and even hid her news from her cousin. Although his cousin was full of sweet words and talked about the sweet life with his beloved wife, he knew that Bai Qianchun had already left the main star for Jupiter, and now his cousin was alone. It's a one-man show. What sweet life is, it's all fabricated and lies to deceive the public. Cousin, what do you think I'm doing? Fen Yuyu yawned lazily, and his peach blossom eyes filled with tears glanced over to ask. Lu Yuchen retracted his thoughts and looked at him with a solemn expression. It's nothing. I was thinking that you are already back. When will you bring your little daughter-in-law who is hidden in the golden house to show my mother? She has been listening to a lot of gossip recently. Yeah, you always talk to me about this. Fen Yuyu immediately tightened his scalp, put his legs down, and said with a smile, what? The season has changed recently. She is not in good health and has a minor illness. It is not suitable to go out recently. My aunt can't do it for the time being. Go, cousin, please ask me to say sorry to my aunt, and I will take my wife to see my aunt when she recovers. He wiped the sweat in his heart. In front of others, he could still be calm and composed, pretending to be a real loving couple. Only in front of his cousin, he felt guilty and short of breath. After all, his cousin was his true nemesis. Lu Yuchen's handsome face raised an eyebrow. Then when will she get better? Fen Yuyu's eyes wandered slightly. Haha, these little ailments of hers are more lingering than my relationship with her. I don't know when she will get better. Lu Yuchen didn't give him a chance to shirk. There will still be a spot in the holy pool on my light source star in 2 days. You can take your younger siblings to take a dip to strengthen your body. Ah, no, 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 she doesn't like to go out. Really, it's just because she doesn't like to go out for exercise that she keeps having small problems. When I have some free time in a few days, I will take her out for a walk and exercise. Her body must be very good. It's good as soon as possible. There is no need to waste the quota in the holy pool. This should be reserved for the wounded soldiers in the legion. They are all lined up. Besides, my wife admires the soldiers the most. She definitely doesn't want to occupy them. Quota. Fen Yuyu's words were righteous and upright, and his voice was much louder than before. The attention of the couple on the couch was also attracted. Shen Baining looked over with concern. My sister-in-law turned out to be sick. No wonder you didn't take her out of the recent banquet. Where are you going to take her for a few days? Or come to our 31st Army? Let's see, after the medals are awarded these days, we are going to have a collective military build-up and let everyone be happy together. Ah, this Fen Yuyu's evil smile was a little stiff. Cold sweat broke out on his back, and he felt regret in his heart. Why did he let that woman run away? No, he has to get that woman back as soon as possible, otherwise the living expenses of 100,000 yuan a month will bring him a worse life. What is he trying to do? The crazy bees and butterflies kept telling each other, and he had to make up lies one after another. He had been really frustrated these past few days. It was okay to lie to those women, but he just made up a few random sentences without blinking. It was a blink of an eye, but his iron heart could hardly bear to deceive the relatives who cared about him. The most important thing is that he will definitely be miserable when his lies are exposed in the future, and it will be even worse if he falls into the hands of his cousin. Fen Yuyu looked at the sky sadly. Hey, wife, where are you? There is a husband here who needs to be saved. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 53. Fen Yuyu felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart, but he still planned to deal with the problem at hand first. He smiled and said, Sister, I still want to live a sweet world for two with my wife. I will go back and discuss the matter with her about the 11th Army first. By the way, sister, you just received the communication message. Who sent it? As soon as this question was raised, Shen Baining's attention was diverted, and she smiled brightly and charmingly on her face that showed no sign of sleepiness. This is the young lady who helped a few of us when we first came to the main star. She was preparing to get married, so she followed her mother-in-law back to her mother-in-law's natal home, which is Muyuanxing. Oh, are we going to invite you to a wedding banquet? Seeing that the topic had changed, Fen Yuyu felt relieved. Her sleepy peach blossom eyes half squinted, and she lay back down as lazily as if she had no bones. Shen Baining smiled happily and said, That's not the case. What she said is that the master of Muyuan Star is back. Muyuan Star is about to be reopened, and now the life of Muyuan Star is being revived. Suddenly, the three men with high positions in the empire were all startled. Lu Yuchen's cold eyes flashed with light, and his handsome face couldn't help but reveal joy. He was a little worried about Baikin Chun's return to Muyuan Star before. After all, there was a precedent on Huoyuan Star. The former Fire Source Star Lord committed suicide and drained the power of Huiwen Star in order to take revenge. As a result, the Fire Source Star was in turmoil, suffered countless disasters, and suffered many casualties among its citizens. After that, the current Star Master was ostracized by the Fire Source Star. Even though there was a contract with him, he could never get close to the Fire Source Star, and the Fire Source Star was extinguished for 30 years. It was not until the death of the star owner that the Fire Source Star chose a new owner. This time Bai Qianchun also caused similar consequences to the Wood Source Star due to excessive extraction of source power, so he was also worried about whether Bai Qianchun would follow in the footsteps of the Fire Source Star Master, but now it seems that he has not. The resurgence of Jupiter is the best proof. Calculating the time, this should be her first night after arriving at Muiyuan Star. She was fast enough. Lu Yuchen looked at his cousin opposite with a slight smile in his eyes. Fen Yuyu was standing up from the sofa. His boneless body seemed to be loaded with clockwork. He stood up completely. Then with a pleasant smile on his face, he strode eagerly towards the floor-to-ceiling windows with his long legs. Go. The thick and gorgeous curtains were opened with his big hand, and the black night with twinkling stars was revealed directly in front of the four people. There are no dark clouds blocking the way. 5 source stars, including the gold source star, the water source star, the fire source star, the earth source star, and the light source star, are shining with gorgeous soft light in the high sky. The dark source star appears faintly, and the 6 source stars are lined up in a line. On the gold source star, the position between Shui Yuanxing that had been vacant for 4 years finally showed a little green light tonight. It's as big as a grain of rice, but it can't cover up its light, and no one can ignore its existence. It is really the Jupiter star that is recovering. The 3 people sitting in the living room also strode to the window, looked up at the sky, with bright eyes, solemnly witnessing the grand scene of Mu Yuen Star's resurrection. Tonight is destined to be a sleepless night, and it is also destined to be an important day recorded in the interstellar history of the Huayao Empire. At the same time, on Muiyuan Star, the green halo with a rich vitality has radiated to the most remote and darkest poles. Seedlings broke through the ground, branches stretched out, and a red flower budded with trembling. The breeze blows like a mother's gentle hands caressing the earth. The darkness and depression of the past have all disappeared. Everything is announcing that the owner of this planet is back. It is finally no longer afraid of hesitation, bravely breaks through difficulties, and blooms proudly. When the last petal was completely stretched, everyone seemed to hear the sound of the flower blooming. The red flower ignited the fire of recovery. When the vitality was lit at the last place, the full recovery of Jupiter began to unfold. Seeds in the dormant stage, seeds on the verge of death, and seeds that have been dormant for thousands of years have been broken out of their shadows and ushered in their new life. Countless flowers and plants listened to the call, broke through the hard shell, poked their heads out, and bloomed with their own brilliance. All kinds of plants are in full bloom again. Muiyuan Star is covered with flowers, plants are growing wildly, and all the gaps are being filled one after another. Looking around, you can see towering green shadows, full of green, fragrant flowers and plants, and the fragrance of melons and fruits. The entire Muiyuan planet has become a large primitive botanical garden, and even the green city is covered with lush greenery. Such a spectacular scene is a feast for the eyes of the people on Muiyuan planet. And people in all the stars outside the Jupiter star also watched with their own eyes as the Jupiter star grew bigger little by little, and finally bloomed with a dazzling green light. Stars are falling. At this moment, the Jupiter star truly revives and reopens. Its light shines on the galaxy, symbolizing return. At the same time, the 6 surrounding source stars seem to be sensing something, and they also bloomed with a deterrent light at this time. The 7 source stars gathered together, the 7-color light overlapped, and a layer of light rose up along the border of the Huayao Empire. The light of protection will be invisible to all things it passes through. This is the greatest support for their human empire, and it is also the most jealous and coveted existence of the orcs next door. As for everyone in the Huayao Empire, now that the 7 stars are under their protection and the dust has settled, they don't need to be afraid at all. As long as the 7 source stars gather together, the orc cavalry will never dare to attack easily again. In front of the floor-to-ceiling window, Fenyuyu's peach blossom eyes looking at Muyuan's star flashed with brilliance, and there was a smile on her lips. It seems that our military deployment on the border star can be redistributed. The corner of Lu Yuchen's mouth also curved, and a cold smile appeared in his cold eyes. Well, we can withdraw some people to clean up the fleas in the house. They have jumped too high recently. I won't cut off a few legs they don't know how to write and fen. Huo Quancheng exchanged a look with him, his stern brows flashed with a look of sympathy, and he gave Lu Yuchen a look of sympathy. Then he spoke in a calm and magnetic voice, if you need anything, just ask. A soft smile broke out on Lu Yuchen's frosty face. Thank you, I won't hold it back if the need arises. Fenyuya glanced to the left, glanced to the right, and clicked his tongue twice with unknown meaning. Then he turned his head and looked in the direction of the Jupiter star again, narrowed his evil peach blossom eyes, and said lazily and jokingly, why do I feel that this Jupiter star seems to be a little rounder and fatter than my gold source star? But he's chubby and cute. Shen Baining turned her head and glanced at him incomprehensibly. Isn't it cute that the stars can still be seen? However, she still gave an explanation. It's probably an incidental attribute of the awakening of this current star master. It's huge, and the size of the Jupiter star is probably also expanding accordingly. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 54. Lu Yuchen pursed his thin lips and smiled without saying a word, thinking to himself that it feels cute, probably because the sweet little wife in your mouth lives on it. Oh, Fenyuya responded thoughtfully, then yawned again and looked at the 3 people who were still energetic, with a hint of dissatisfaction on his face. I said, after the matter is over, Mu Yuan seeing also after reading this, it's time for you to leave. It's okay for my cousin, an older single young man who still pays a high single tax, not to know the beauty of nightlife. You two are not in a hurry at all. Huo Quancheng and Shen Baining were stunned. They looked at each other, their eyes full of affection. Then Huo Quancheng's big hand quietly reached out to wrap up the soft and slender little hand. Shen Baining's bright face immediately evaporated with 2 circles of blush, and her sassy aura became much softer in an instant. Her beautiful eyes were filled with light and affection. Unlimited. Lu Yuchen, an older single young man, still had a relaxed smile on his lips, looking completely invulnerable. He even enjoyed eating dog food and looked at Fenyuyu's expression with interest. Fenyuyu was not as strong as Lu Yuchen, so he rolled his eyes and muttered Menzeo. Then he directly waved his hands to drive them away. Let's go quickly. You guys think you can just mess around? I have to go back and hug my delicate and soft daughter-in-law. She will not be able to sleep well without me. The young couple complied with his wishes and left happily. Lu Yuchen, who knew the truth, wanted to stay and continue talking to his cousin, but was forcefully pushed out by Fenyuyi, who moved out the non-existent little wife with a smile. After seeing off the guests, Fenyuyi hurriedly sent a message to Bai Qianshun. I thought it was too dangerous for you to be a girl outside. Why don't you give me your address and I will pick you up in person. As for the memory you want to search for, I'll help you investigate. 1 second passes, 2 seconds pass, and 1 minute passes. Fenyuyu's brows furrowed tighter and tighter. He walked back and forth in the living room twice, and finally scratched his hair irritably and sat back on the sofa. He muttered depressedly, it shouldn't be. Mu Yuan will revive tonight. She must have woken up from such a big deal. Why didn't she reply to my message? Could it be that something happened? He endured it, but couldn't help but send a message. Are you asleep? Please pay attention to me. At this time, on Wuyuan star. After the wood source star fully recovered and the 7 source stars gathered together, the green beam of light that shot straight into the sky also disappeared, and the strong wash of the wood element naturally stopped. This explosion of wood elements lasted for a full half hour, and the wood elemental power users on Wuyuan star gained greatly, especially Yaqin and Yang who were closest to the light pillar. Yaqin was originally an SS level wood element user, and was one of the most capable subordinates of the previous Star Master Zhengziu. However, due to a subsequent injury, lack of wood elements, and the mutilation of the previous Star Master Wang Ziyi, etc., the realm has dropped to level A, and I have been restricted from making any progress here. But now, after being washed away by the wood element, he was promoted 2 levels in just half an hour, returning to the top ranks of the SS level pyramid. Even the wrinkles and folds on his face have been reduced a lot, and his whole body seems to have grown in reverse. He has become more than 10 years younger. His body has also regained the abundant strength it had when he was young and strong, and his condition is better than ever. He stood up from the entangled giant vines, and looked in the direction of the white mist ahead with a pair of bright eyes with a complicated look. Is this Star Lord like Zhenqiu's Star Lord? Or is it like that piece of shit Wang Ziyi? Yang, another winner of the greatest benefit, also opened his eyes at this time and woke up from his trance. Immediately, he couldn't help but jump 3 meters high like a flying monkey, and then laughed excitedly like a pig. Sister Chun, my wood type ability has been upgraded, and it has been upgraded to level A 3 times in a row, which is 1 level higher than being. Ha ha ha, Mom, I am successful. Leng Xiao leaned against the medicine cabinet with his arms folded, watching his performance expressionlessly. If you look carefully, you can still see a hint of envy in his cold eyes. However, it is understandable. He has been working hard every day for a year since he came to Interstellar, and he is diligently upgrading. On the other hand, Yang is just waiting to die. After eating, he holds a piece of grass in his mouth and crosses his legs. Such a lazy person can actually fortunately, he encountered such a good thing, and was immediately carried away by a wave, and even stepped on top of his head. No matter who it is, who can hold back his mentality and not collapse. If this was not a friend who has been together since his previous life, Leng Xiao would definitely show him what it means to be challenged online, and the cruel reality of being beaten online. Even if you are a high level, you can't beat me. Humph, you inexperienced 2-legged beast. The wood element is washed away at such a close range. Anyone else can reach 2 or 3 levels. It's not your own ability at all. This Protoss does not recognize your strength. The Protoss held the 2. He had a small arm and squinted at him with beady eyes, his expression full of contempt. Yang was not annoyed, he leaned over and looked at it on the table with a smile in his eyes. Hey, have you ever heard that good luck is also a kind of strength? The star spirit decisively turned its head and muttered, I've never heard of it. 2 legs just like to quibble. Bai Qianchun stood aside and raised the corners of her lips. The green color in her beautiful spring eyes faded away and returned to the original black pearl-like color. At this time, she looked at the big one and the small one with a pleasant smile. She also gained a lot from this wave of contracts. Originally, she and the star spirits complemented each other with the power of the contract. The huge wood element washed through her body, directly raising her ability level, which she had just promoted to S level, to SS level. Later, the wood source star revived and countless plants grew. The purest wave of wood elements they gathered fed back to her, allowing her to jump up a level again. It is said that it is difficult for superpowers above S level to upgrade, as they require too many elements, and it is difficult to upgrade them after 10 or 8 years of accumulation. But now Bai Qianchun has upgraded to 2 extremes in one night, no, in half an hour. She was promoted from S level to SSS level, 1 level higher than her previous life. It can be said that she was extremely lucky. I wonder if the star masters of other source stars also have such great benefits. Baiken Chun's thoughts flashed rapidly in her mind, then she lowered her eyes and smiled, poking at the star spirit on the table that had grown from the size of an ant to the size of a palm. Why have you grown so big? Yang's eyes lit up and he chuckled and agreed, yes, that's what I wanted to ask just now. Why did you suddenly become bigger? You look a bit like a figure. It's just that the green kohlrabi-like shape on your head is different. So pretty. The incidental attribute of your awakening is huge, so I became bigger. Is there anything strange about this? The star spirit hugged his big head that was staggering due to being poked, and glared fiercely at the two nasty two-legged beasts. Don't mess with my style, I just like the green color. What's wrong? You two don't understand fashion. Aesthetic to legs. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 55. Bai Qianchun raised his eyebrows, ignoring the strange aesthetics of the star spirit that seemed to be wrong, and asked with a slight curiosity, what do you mean my awakened incidental attributes? People with superpowers can also awaken incidental attributes. Yang and Leng Xiao looked at each other with confused looks on their faces. They have never heard of any incidental attributes. The kohlrabi star spirit immediately became angry. It placed its hands on its small waist and its beady eyes with disdain. It laughed and said, this is not an attribute of a superpower. It can only be stimulated after the Star Master concludes a contract with the source star. It has incidental attributes, and can only be used on the source star. Just like the last Star Lord who signed a contract with me, the two-legged beast named Zhenqiu's awakened attribute is strange flowers. Countless previously extinct strange flowers can be planted on Muiyuan star. The survival of all flowers, the rate also increased by 50%. Also, the stupid two-legged beast from the previous Wang Ziyi had a petite attribute, and the things he produced were so small. Even if I didn't dislike him, forget it. That two-legged beast actually had its nostrils pointed upward on my Muiyuan planet. Domineering and domineering, if he died another year later, this star spirit would definitely drive him out of Muiyuan star like a little fire. Then the question is, who is Xiao Huo? Yang spread his hands and asked curiously. The star spirit didn't expect that his topic would jump out of the subject so quickly. He was stunned for a moment, then quickly raised his chin and picked up the stinky fart style. Of course it's a star spirit too. What about ordinary stupid two-legged beasts? Maybe you can become friends with this Protoss. The light shining in Baiken Chun's eyes must be the star spirit on the fire source star. She suddenly became very curious about several source stars, and continued to ask thoughtfully, does star spirit appear on all planets or only on the 7 source stars? I have never seen it in the outside world. I've heard of the existence of star spirits. Do you need to keep your existence a secret? When Yang heard this, he nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Yes, I have never heard of the existence of star spirits among the people of Muiyuan stars. The star spirit groaned twice. Of course, we star spirits are not casual creatures. As long as I don't want to, no one can see me. Even the Star Master can only see me if I want him to. After meeting me, I will also ask him to keep the contract secret and not to spread it outside. This star spirit is so precious. What if those evil two-legged beasts outside find out that they covet my beauty? Yang suddenly became so happy that he hit the table with his fist and almost fell to the ground laughing. Ha. I covet your beauty. This seeing the kohlrabi star flying to the tip of his nose, Yang's eyes suddenly became cross-eyed, his voice got stuck, and he quickly changed the topic. He was very aware of current affairs. Echoed, this is so damn right. You are so beautiful, as delicate and small as a figure. Those evil humans must be coveting your beauty. Don't worry, I will never reveal anything about you. Satisfied, The star spirit removed the small wooden thorn pointed at Yang's eyes, flew back to the table with its wings of light, and glanced at him appreciatively. You two-legged beast has good eyesight, and your eyes are not white. Yang touched his nose and murmured in his heart that this little star spirit was vicious. If he hadn't changed his mind in time, he might not have seen the sky outside Zhenlong City. Leng Xiao glanced at him, with a hint of schadenfreude in his cold eyes. Bai Qianchun also looked at them amusedly. While tidying up the messy things on the table, he glanced at the star spirit and asked with interest, "How can a creature like you be classified as male or female?" She looked at the little Protoss. She saw that the little thing was shaped like a kohlrabi, but its face was quite human-like. It also had 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. It was small and delicate, and she could only tell that it was cute and pretty. Now you can see clearly that the little sack skirt she is wearing is indeed patched with red and green patches, but patches are patches. After all, the skirt is not gone, it looks a bit like a little girl. But its voice was high-pitched and crisp, and its stinking and bad temper made it look a bit like a boy, so even with her years of medical practice, she couldn't tell whether this Protoss was a human being. What gender? The Protoss waved the small wooden thorn at her and screamed angrily, "Rude, vulgar, how can we little Protoss be divided into male and female like other low-level creatures?" Bai Qianchun, "Oh, that's hermaphrodite." Star spirit, that's right. It groaned, always feeling that talking to the Star Master was like hitting cotton wool, which made the star spirit depressed. "You haven't said yet whether star spirits can only be found on the 7 source stars. Can other planets also breed star spirits?" Star spirit looked up at her and replied briefly, "No, yes." Yang's heart moved, and he was a little eager to try, but soon the kohlrabi little star spirit poured down another basin of cold water, but the conditions for breeding star spirits are very harsh. Only 7 of us have succeeded in tens of thousands of years, and there are no star spirits in the surrounding planets. There are signs. It is estimated that the 8th star spirit will not appear again in this 100 years. Oh, Yang was slumped, and immediately suppressed his small thoughts of struggling to rise and buy planets. Watching him open his mouth to ask what he wanted to say, the star spirit hurriedly rolled on the table and said, "It's almost done. I'm sleepy. Please kneel down." It was lying on the table with its legs crossed, one hand on the back of its head, and the other small hand waving at them, imitating the posture of a noble concubine. Bai Qianchun looked at it funny, and the corners of her mouth raised slightly. "Okay, then you can rest, but I didn't agree to the contract you signed to compensate me for the medicinal materials and pills. If you think about how to compensate me, I hope to hear a satisfactory answer tomorrow night." Zinglin was no longer sleepy at this time. It climbed up from the table with a small body and stared at the shameless Star Master with wide eyes. "What an honor it is to make a contract with this star spirit. You actually still do it, not satisfied, you greedy 2-legged beast." Bai Qianchun didn't take it seriously and smiled confidently, "It's a great honor to be able to eat my vitality pill. It costs 50 million star coins. Can your contract directly give me so many star coins?" "No, you can't. The star spirit has everything but no star coins, but after contracting with this star spirit, the entire Jupiter star belongs to you. You can plant whatever medicinal materials you want, and the properties are huge and you can harvest them. Dozens of times the amount of medicinal materials. But the huge properties of derived awakenings come from me, and they still need to be processed. They are not as direct as my vitality pills and pills. This star spirit. That's it for today. I'll continue with it tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Lu Zy. Chapter 56. In the end, the kohlrabi star spirit still failed to defeat the former housekeeper of the team. Bai Jianchun, who saved people and made money, depressedly signed a contract to help the star leader Bai Jianchun work as a handyman for 1 year before completing the compensation matter. The star spirit felt aggrieved. His face was almost as green as the top of his head. However, Ya Yang and Leng Xiao still felt that the star spirit had made a profit. In contrast to the past, anyone who dared to touch the big demon king's pharmacy would be slaughtered as farm fertilizer or served as a lifelong slave. What does this year mean for the turnip star spirit? It's past. Bai Jianchun looked at the star slumped on the table with its hands and feet spread out like the word big with satisfaction. She looked at it as if it had lost its highlight in life, and thought it was quite cute. She couldn't help but think again. He poked it with his finger. "What are you doing? Don't disturb me when I'm sleeping." The star lazily turned over according to the strength of her fingers, and the green vegetables on top of his head became even more wilted. Bai Jianchun laughed out loud. "I didn't want to disturb Lord Star Spirit from sleeping, I just wanted to remind Lord Star Spirit that we are about to leave. Your contract not to reveal the existence of Star Spirit to the outside world has not been signed yet. I can guarantee that your own mouth, but you can't guarantee the mouth of others." Ya Yang, he felt that although Sister Chun didn't name her, she was definitely talking about him. "Hey, does he look like a person with a weak mouth?" The star spirit stiffened, then immediately cooed twice, sat up with a groan, waved its little hand on the left, and 3 green dots of light shone directly between the eyebrows of the 3 of them. After seeing the 3 people obediently restraining their reflexive movements and staying in place, allowing the green light spots to sink into their eyebrows, seeing Ling's little face finally looked better. It looked at Bai Jianchun, and the little one said seriously, "This is a restrictive contract. As long as you want to mention the existence of the star spirit, it will sound an alarm in your mind and stop you from talking. Restrain you before exiting or leaking relevant information. After the alarm occurs 3 times, it will clear your relevant memories but will not cause physical harm." "That's good," Ya Yang said with a smile on his face. "I don't want to hurt such a cute little star spirit, so will you fly out to play with us in the future?" The Protoss was a little surprised by his sudden overture, and opened its little mouth, then hummed and hesitated awkwardly. "I have signed a contract to be a handyman, so I will definitely fly out." Then it hurriedly put its hands on its hips and began to chase people away fiercely. "You hurry up and leave. The city will be closed when it gets daybreak. If you want to go out, you will have to wait until tomorrow night." "Oh, so you can only go in and out of Longzhen City at night?" Ya Yang was a little disappointed. "Then can others come in?" The star spirit rolled his eyes. "I set the conditions so that ordinary people can't see the city. Now, they can come in with you 3 souls from the original dimension leading the way, but time stops for you 3 in the city. Other people's body flow will speed up after they come in. If you want to get a few more wrinkles, you can come in and try it. As for the principle, you don't understand it? It's a waste of my star spirit's saliva, so I won't go into it. Oh, needless to say, I am also a scumbag in this area, but I still have an important question." Ya Yang frowned and said seriously. Star Spirit looked over curiously. "What?" "Ya Yang, if we take the roast duck out of the city, will it go bad?" "Protoss." It glanced at the foodie bipped with disgust, rubbed its young teeth and said, "It won't deteriorate directly, but the time stop on its body will disappear, and the flow rate will be synchronized with the outside world." That's that. Ya Yang wanted to drag the star spirit to continue asking, but the star spirit, who was almost wilted by the question, became angry and directly waved 3 large balls of light to wrap the 3 of them, and then directly throw them out of Zhenlong City. The heavy city gate slammed shut, hitting Ya Yang directly on the nose as he wanted to turn around and go back. Ouch! Ya Yang took a step back, held his nose in his hands and howled out, full of sorrow, "I thought we were friends again, but I didn't expect you to want to destroy my handsome nose." Leng Xiao glanced at the drama queen with disgust, then turned away and squinted his eyes towards the fading white mist that was gradually refracted by the dawn as the sky broke. His body tensed slightly, ready to fight at any time. He still remembered that they were here to catch vegetable thieves before entering Longzhen City. But the cries of ghosts and howls from the outside world have disappeared, and the original empty land here has also disappeared. Instead, a forest of wild green vines of wild pythons rises into the sky. The three of them stand here, like three animals that have strayed into a giant jungle. Tiny reptile. Leng Xiao's cold face couldn't help but look at the scene in front of him in shock. What happened this night? Is the plant invasive? Bai Qianchun also noticed the scene immediately, and combined with the huge auxiliary attribute mentioned by the star spirit before, he quickly figured out the ins and outs in his mind. This should be the reason why the green beam of light caused the entire Jupiter star to revive. Unexpectedly, the effect was quite immediate. The originally barren mountains now seemed to be dreaming back to the Wizard of Oz overnight. Just as she was about to walk over and take a closer look with a smile on her lips, a ding-ding-dong-dong sound came from the optical brain, causing her to focus all her attention on the optical brain. When I turned on the optical brain, there were three names flashing on it: First Friend Feng Tanggui, Financial Boss, and Imperial Prince Liu Yuchen. She clicked the message from Feng Tanggui with a smile on her face. The first message was sent more than an hour ago. Calculating the time, it should be not long after she signed the contract with the Rutabaga Star Spirit and after Mu Yuan Star began to recover. First Friend Feng Tanggui, wow, sister-in-law, have you seen it? Mu Yuan Star has revived, it's so beautiful and spectacular. The second message came 5 minutes later. First Friend Feng Tanggui, ha, that's great sister-in-law. The fruit-potted plant you left for me was discovered by that greedy old man from my grandfather and that big pig's hooves from my cousin. They were almost bald because of Mu Yuan seeing just now the radiated wood elements have started to grow leaves and flowers again, and they will bear fruit again in a few days. This time I will hide them better so that the two bad guys who snatched my fruits will not find them. Then the messages came one after another. First Friend Feng Tanggui, sister-in-law, the Mu Yuan Star has revived. You're a wood-type superpower. This time it's better. You can practice hard. Ha. Try hard and work hard. Your superpower level will surpass that of my cousin. That big pig's hooves will beat him until he squeals if he doesn't obey. First Friend Feng Tanggui, sister-in-law, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you reply to me? First Friend Feng Tanggui, W, sister-in-law, are you in danger? Just wait for me and I will find someone to help save you. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 57. Bai Qianchun quickly wiped her sweat and sent her a message: Wei, I'm fine, don't worry, the signal was a little weak just now, so I received the message. Feng Tanggui's message was immediately sent back: Really? Isn't it true that someone holding a knife forced you to say this? Bai Qianchun smiled helplessly. This girl really likes to think as much as Yang. No one can force me. First Friend Feng Tanggui, then why is the signal bad? The optical brain receiving source of our empire is very good generally. As long as there is a signal tower or base station on the planet, the message can be received. Is there anything special about you, sister-in-law, a remote star with no cell phone tower? Bai Qianchun glanced at the vines growing wildly in front of him like an ancient giant python, and blinked. It seems to be a bit desolate, but it's better now. The planet has begun to regain its vitality, and infrastructure construction will be carried out next. It will definitely get better in the future, and I'll invite you over for vacation when the time comes. First Friend Feng Tanggui, oh, that's good. I will definitely come for vacation if I have the chance. Sister-in-law, if you encounter any danger, you must tell me. No, tell me to my cousin. He is such a big pig and has hidden the news about the main star from you. First Friend Feng Tanggui, by the way, sister-in-law, when are you going to come back? Those shameless goblins at the banquet these days have been coming to my cousin one after another. Fortunately, although my cousin I was a bit stubborn, but my stance was firm. I said that my love for my sister-in-law was immeasurable. I was full of nice sweet words and vowed to spread the word for free. Only then did I drive away those little goblins who wanted to pry my sister-in-law into your corner. But this is not the way to go. If you don't show up, sister-in-law, you won't be able to silence those people. So, sister-in-law, you have to come back as soon as possible to declare your sovereignty. Bai Qianchun, who happened to be looking through the message from Fen Yuyu, felt a little strange in his heart, then looked at this sentence from Fen Tanggui. What is there not to understand about this? Yuz dog man can't bear it alone, and he wants to take her back to help us bear it together. But she wouldn't be happy to fight with those troublesome women over a man. Wouldn't it be nice to build infrastructure on Jupiter? So he pursed his lips and replied displeasedly to Fen Yuyu, do you want me to go back and serve as a shield for you? Our original agreement did not include showing up to accompany you to the banquet. Don't look for me. Again, you can use my name casually. If you are not satisfied, then divorce. Find a partner or a real wife to help you. Fen Yuyu, who was drowsy waiting for the news, and had already ordered his men to search for Bai Qianchun out of concern for Bai Qianchun's safety, suddenly widened his eyes and his eyelids twitched. It's unreasonable. After not sending any news for several days, this woman's courage doubled and she even dared to file for divorce. Fen Yuyu's eyes were green and black, and the fatigue was swept away in a pair of evil and seductive peach blossom eyes, burning with a burning light. But how did she know that he wanted to get someone back as a shield? Fen Yuyu frowned and thought for a moment, and realized that there was something fishy about this matter. Someone must have tipped off the news, so Fen Tanggui, the cousin who kept whispering in his ears every day that his sister-in-law was too good for his sister-in-law, and even tried to snatch the fruit back, immediately became the first suspect. He directly dialed the message and asked angrily, Fen Tanggui, did you say bad things about me in front of your sister-in-law? Fen Tanggui, who was being coaxed happily by Bai Qianchun, immediately showed a disgusted face and glared at the sloppy cousin on the other side of the communication line with raised hair and a grey chin. He snorted and said, who said bad things about you? I was talking good things about you to my sister-in-law. I said that you had resisted countless temptations at the banquet these days and were completely devoted to my sister-in-law. I also advised my sister-in-law to come back early to take the oath sovereignty, let those little goblins who are greedy for you give up. But my sister-in-law is still unwilling to break the plan and come back early. Humph, I have to say that it must be my cousin who is so sloppy, so my sister-in-law is disgusted with you and is unwilling to come back. You don't blame me with your nonsense, there's no way. Fen Yuyu choked. He was so angry that he solved the case, and it was this little bastard cousin who tipped him off. Humph, you thought you were saying nice things, no, you were just revealing information to that woman, you little spy. But that can't be said, because if he and Bai Qianchun were a real couple, this cousin would really say good things about him. In the end, Fen Yuyu had no choice but to bear this big, round pot in frustration, deal with a few random words to his cousin who was still eloquent at the opportunity, and then hung up the communication in frustration. Hey, why didn't I know this girl was so eloquent and so good at making fun of people? Fen Yuyu pulled 2 handfuls of hair randomly, wrinkled his handsome face that was haggard but still decadent and lazy, and sat cross-legged on the luxurious bed to calmly think about the hypothesis of divorce. But after the divorce, where can he find a partner who doesn't covet his beauty? At the banquets in the past few days, those women were like wolves and tigers. They looked at him as if they were fat and wanted to eat him alive. It really made him feel frightened and disgusted. He had no doubt that his charm could charm all women. That is, that weird woman Bai Qianchun did not covet his beauty after marrying him, but instead became more and more angry and antagonized him. However, think about it again, the reason why he fell in love with her at first glance and chose her to sign an agreement to fake marriage was because there was no covetousness in her eyes, let alone the enthusiasm and admiration that those women looked at him. As for finding a real wife, this is not within the scope of Fenyuyu's consideration at all. Apart from his relatives and elders, his eldest sister and his eldest adjutant Sushu, and his cousin who often scolds him for being a pig's hooves, he doesn't think about it at all. They don't want to get close to other women, even the few female companions who came all the way from the garbage planet with them before. The look in their eyes also made him very unhappy, but for the sake of the eldest sister, they were a little more exclusive in front of him than other women. But if he didn't get divorced, wouldn't that woman Baikin Chun's temper become worse and worse? Do you really think it's her who has to blame young Master Feng for losing his temper? Just when Fenyuyu was repeatedly jumping between divorce and divorce, he received a message from his adjutant Zhuangshu. Bai Qianchun had not responded to the message before. He was a little worried and asked someone to secretly find her whereabouts. But the message from the adjutant shocked him. Fenyuyu frowned and looked at the person on the other side of the communication in displeasure. What do you mean that madam can't find anyone after entering the starry skyport? What about the surveillance? Is there no surveillance in such a big starry skyport? It's no good. You go investigate the passenger records of the starship. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 58. Zhuangshu was silent, saying to himself that you don't want to expose your search for your wife in a big way, and you also want to contact the starships of other forces to find someone. How can it be so easy? Those starships are not operated by the Feng family. It involves internal information from other forces. He was afraid that if they made a move, those people would come up with 10 or 8 conspiracy theories, and it would not end well if the true purpose was not revealed. But he has to be tolerant of the commander who has lost his wife. After all, the commander is such a face-saving person. These days, he is still showing off his affection at banquets and pretending to be a fine person with his wife still around. As a competent subordinate, since he knowing that the commander is in such great pain, I must not add fuel to the fire here. So he just thought it was the chief's wife who ran away from home. After hesitating for a few days, the chief finally got annoyed and started looking for someone. Zhuangshu said in a tactful tone, there was something wrong with the surveillance in the starry skyport on the day my wife went there. Recently, the maintenance rights of the starry skyport it is in the hands of the First Army, that is, His Highness the Crown Prince. How about I go find His Highness the Crown Prince to investigate the backup surveillance? Sir, don't worry. I will definitely not reveal the news that you and your wife are having conflicts and that your wife has run away from home. I will communicate with His Highness the Crown Prince about finding wanted criminals. Fenyuyu suffered a myocardial infarction, had a conflict with God and ran away from home. If Yao Wengxian hadn't been on the main star, he wouldn't have needed Zhuangshu as his adjutant because he was anxious. As a result, this girl was misinterpreted by him. Fenyuyu waved his hand, raised the corner of his mouth and said with a smile, forget it, there is no need to continue the investigation. I have received the news that my wife is safe. She is safe now. She and I talk every 3, we communicate every hour. It has been more than 3 hours just now. I am really worried about her safety, so I asked you to investigate. Also, we have no conflicts and have a very good relationship. My wife-in-law just wants to independently fulfill her wish before getting married, and she wants to go on an interstellar travel trip alone. As her dearest husband, naturally it's up to her. Oh, I understand, Sir. Zhuangshu nodded solemnly and gave him a particularly caring and sympathetic look. I understand, sir, you want to save face? Don't worry, sir, I must be worried about the conflict between the sir and his wife. Fenyuyu, damn it, I see you don't understand at all. It's so frustrating. After once again hanging up a bad communication from his subordinates, Fen Yuyu made up his mind that the marriage should not be divorced now, otherwise in Zhuangshu's eyes, he would be a failed man who could not even get his wife back. Financial boss, I'm just worried that you, a girl, are not safe outside. I have no other intention since you don't want to come back. Forget it. If you need help in the future, you can tell me. Don't hold back. Fen Yuyu suppressed his anger and curled up his lips to send this message, never mentioning the divorce. Then he threw away his computer, threw himself into the big bed and fell asleep. On Wuyuan Star, Bai Qianchun curled up his lips after seeing this message, and then sent a message back to Lu Yuchen, the only insider who had sent a congratulatory message. Thank you for your help. As for what they helped, the two of them knew it well. Imperial Prince Lu Yuchen, the monitoring of the starport is just a piece of cake for me, but even I can't interfere too much with the information on the starship you're on. You still have to be prepared to be discovered by him at any time. Bai Qianchun smiled nonchalantly, based on his pride, as long as the surveillance of the starry skyport cannot investigate, he will not investigate further unless there is some special reason. Besides, he is not the person I am avoiding on purpose. Just know it if you know it, but it will be a little more troublesome when the time comes. Lu Yuchen raised his eyebrows. Now he had completely understood the relationship between the couple, but it was still very interesting. Apart from Shen Baining, she was probably the first person who could handle his cousin like this. Oh, no, Shen Baining was just lucky to have grown up with his cousin. Otherwise, his cousin, who was extremely narcissistic about his own charm and extremely wary and bored with women, would not be so friendly and trustful. Woman. Lu Yuchen smiled and said, oh, that's good. Wuyuan Star has revived. I heard that the attributes attached to it are huge. I wonder if I have the honor to taste the products of Wuyuan Star for myself. A flash of light flashed in Bai Qianchun's pair of round, peach blossom eyes. Yes, the biggest customer is here. As long as the life of the Imperial Prince is insured and he does not die as early as in the dream, he will be an absolute killer. What a great partner. Bai Qianchun's eyes were filled with a joyful smile. Of course, no problem, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince will send me the address, and I will send you some specialties of our Mu-UN planet in a few days. Imperial Prince Lu Yuchen, okay, then I'll be waiting for your specialty. Currently, Lu Yuchen doesn't know that Bai Qianchun will prepare such a big gift for him. He only thinks that the other party will give him fruits and vegetables from Mu-UN planet. But even so, he still had a smile on his lips and was in a good mood. Compared to Fen Yuyu, who had stayed up all night, he also stayed up all night, but he was still energetic. With a pair of cold phoenix eyes full of sensitivity, he picked up the documents on the desk and continued to approve. As the Prince of the Empire, he is much unknown compared to other princes and even the proud ones like Fen Yuyu, but this is just because he uses his low profile as a protective color. In private, his power is no less than anyone else, and under the instruction of his father, he has already started to get in touch with the relevant affairs that the Emperor is about to start. He will be very busy next and may not have time to pay attention to his cousin's interesting fake couple. Sister Chun, who are you sending a message to? After Ye Yang, the drama queen, finished his performance, he rubbed his nose and leaned over, craning his neck curiously to ask. Bai Qianchun was stunned, then glanced at him with a smile, future big customer. Oh, Ye Yang immediately showed an I understand look. A big customer is a big fat sheep. Whoever was called a big customer by their sister Chun in the previous life would be so generous that they would hand over a lot of money to buy the meatballs made by their sister Chun. If you were cheated, you should be grateful and come back next time. That kind of thing. As expected of their pure sister, she could find such a big fat sheep so quickly after arriving in the interstellar world. Let's go to the front and take a look. We seem to have discovered something over there. Oh, it's coming, it's coming. Ye Yang rubbed his belly, wheezing and losing his original flexibility. He staggered over several large, thick vines that penetrated deep into the ground, and hurriedly followed Baikin-chun's footsteps. This area is really similar to the primitive jungle they have been to before. Giant trees that cover the sky grow randomly, their roots are messy and intertwined, and the trunks and vines are so huge that they seem to have grown for thousands of years. It's just that here it lacks the dangerous biological chain of the primitive jungle, and there is no rotten leaves and dead branches that have accumulated all year round in the jungle. What is there is just the fresh breath. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 59. Under the majestic cloud tops, there are several giant cocoons wrapped with vines hanging from the huge green trees in the sky. They are either upside down, vertical or horizontal, with different postures. The angle can be seen clearly when looking up from below. I could see the human heads protruding from the giant green cocoons. These people are also miserable. Their whole bodies are bound by green vines, leaving only their heads outside to breathe, but their mouths are severely strangled by a vine, which is deeply embedded in the cheek flesh, so that the tender flesh on the face around the vine is there were traces of purple on all of them, which made them all start to roll their eyes. But these people still have a strong desire to survive. They can't speak when their teeth are choked, but they can still scream while drooling. Bai Qian-chun came over and looked at Leng Xiao, who was already standing under the giant tree in the sky. There was a bit of curiosity in her shining eyes. She raised her eyes and looked towards Leng Xiao and asked, "Who did it?" Obviously, it was impossible for Leng Xiao, a fire power user, to use giant vines to entangle people like this. Leng Xiao turned around when he heard the sound, his cold eyebrows slightly frowned, and then he shook his head and said, "I don't know, they were already up there when I came." Oh! Ya Yang looked up at the giant tree and rubbed his hands in excitement. "No matter who did it, it's a good thing. These are the food thieves who sneaked into our Jupiter planet, ha ha ha, we can call them. It's in my hands. Let's see how I can help brother Yechiang get the knife back." His eyes were rolling, looking left and right as he picked at the big green cocoons, as if he was trying to decide which one to strike first. The one with the surprisingly big head, or the one with the head that resembled his father's small head. Perhaps his gaze was so penetrating that the people in the cocoon didn't even dare to make a sound. Ya Yang clicked his tongue twice, feeling bored. Just when he was about to point out a random chicken to scare the monkeys, he heard several high-pitched voices coming from the distance in the jungle. Judging from the noise caused by the rustling, there were quite a few people walking and talking, which sounded quite lively. The three people at the scene subconsciously shut up and listened to their conversation. "Where are those food thieves? Lao Qin, hurry up and show me the way. This green vine is too thick and looks exactly the same. I can't even find the way." "What are you talking about? I just went out to pick tomatoes and almost couldn't find my way back to the stone house. This is the first time I've gotten lost in front of my house, ha ha ha." "Hey, you went to pick tomatoes in the dark. How do they taste?" "Jew, don't tell me. They are more delicious than the small tomatoes we usually grow. Not to mention they are big. They are also very juicy. When I took a bite, the juice burst out and splashed all over my face. It was eaten raw like this. I couldn't even raise my head from eating. If my stomach could hold more, I could eat the whole thing in one go. Oh, that tomato is so big. You can't finish it even if you eat it for 3 meals a day. It's almost summer now. If you leave it for 2 days, it will probably go bad. Hey, what a sweet worry. I used to worry about not having enough to eat, but now I worry about eating too little and spoiling the food." A group of old men and women who had become younger overnight suddenly began to sigh, and then all of them were filled with emotion. I didn't expect that the Star Master this time would be so powerful, and the incidental attributes of the awakening would be huge. That kid Mi Zhen just checked it through the planet observer. This time the Star Master triggered a series of vitality resurgences that were said to be global resurgences, but they were indeed global resurgences. The seeds that have been dormant for thousands of years at the two poles have been awakened, and now even the most remote sides of the planet are in harvest season. I think this qualification is better than that of Star Master Zhengzhou back then. The resurrection of Jupiter caused by Star Master Zhengzhou did not radiate to the two most remote locations at the poles, nor did it awaken the seeds that had been dormant for thousands of years. Who says it's not the case? If this Star Master is good, it will be good for our Muyuan star, but if he is like that piece of shit like Wang Zi, the destructive power must be even greater. Under the giant tree, Leng Xiao and Ye Yang carefully looked at their sister Chun. Bai Qianchun glanced at the two of them keenly and smiled at them. Ye Yang immediately touched his nose and smiled dryly. Sister Chun, aren't you angry? Bai Qianchun glared at him with an annoyed smile. Am I that angry? They are just objectively analyzing their expectations. As for what I am like, they will naturally know it in the future. Oh, Ye Yang smiled and nodded casually, but he kept complaining in his heart. Sister Chun is really good at joking. She is not very angry, and who can be more angry? I think he just secretly shouted big devil behind his back and got caught. Sister Chun deducted 3 days of meat from him. 3 days in a row. He ate wild vegetables every day, and his face turned green and he lost weight. As a result, Sister Chun even said with a smile when she saw it, the weight loss effect is good. Damn, he's losing weight. He's in good shape, so he doesn't need to lose weight. But speaking of it, Sister Chun was quite tolerant to him, she just didn't let him eat meat. She treated that boy like Lao Bai Liang Chen as a devil. Not only did she ban his meat, but she also let him watch them eat meat. Every meal is not missed. Ha ha ha. Thinking about that boy's twisted handsome face, Ye Yang couldn't be happier. Who told him that he was the least likely to deal with Lao Ba? Although their conversation was not loud, people with a keen eye could still detect it, such as Ye Qin, who was leading the way. At this time, Ye Qin was full of annoyance about why he didn't make a few marks when he came out to call for people after tying him up. Now that he was fine, he looked at the surrounding trees, and the huge vines seemed to have grown in a circle, and the tops were covered with green leaves. Oh my god, Tong Tong is like a car hood, even an SS level wood type superpower like him is confused. But because of his image over the years, he didn't say anything. He just hit the ground with a wooden stick and groped for direction. When he heard the sound, his ears immediately stood up, a flash of light flashed in his bright eyes, and then he followed the direction of the sound and led the group of people behind him in that direction. Behind him were a group of old men and women holding sickles and hoes, but they seemed to be out for sightseeing. They continued to walk leisurely behind him without realizing it, and their mouths never stopped. Speaking of which, it is a good thing that we have a bumper harvest of crops in the fields outside, but there is also a bumper harvest of wild fruits and vegetables in other places. Now the world is overflowing with plants on Muyuan planet. If we can't harvest in time, those vegetables, fruits, etc., they all rotted in the vegetable field. My heart aches when I think of this. These are good things. You can earn a lot of star coins by selling them. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 60. Yes, there are only a few of us star citizens, but we can't harvest all the fruits and vegetables that will be harvested on Muyuan planet. Why don't we deal with those vegetable thieves in a hurry and let them help us first? Let's finish the dishes before we talk. Yes, these damn vegetable thieves can't take advantage of them, so they should be used as labor force. But we don't have the final say in this matter. We can only arrest the intruders. As for how to deal with them, they have to be sent to the neighboring planet to be tried through the channels of the orthodox judicial organs. The judicial organs will decide whether they need to be re-education through labor or not. Punished by death. This is not the only method. There is another one in the interstellar law that you have forgotten. Our Star Master is back, and the Star Master can also deal with these infiltrators on his own. How about we go to the Star Master and talk to him about letting these damn food stealers, the death penalty for thieves will be slowed down first, and let them help collect vegetables first. Then who is going to ask the Star Master? Can the Star Master agree with our suggestion? A group of old men and women who have experienced both virtuous and violent selfish masters are really unsure of their hearts, with worried looks on their faces. At this moment, Yechin, who was walking in front, stretched out his hand to push aside the large leaves blocking the front, revealing a small open area surrounded by giant trees and vines in front of him. Bai Qianshun, Ye Yang, and Leng Xiao stood in the open space under the giant tree. At this time, the three of them turned their heads and looked towards them. The mottled light leaked from the shadow of the tree fell on Bai Qianshun's fair and smooth delicate face. Her long black eyelashes trembled slightly like butterflies about to fly. When he raised his eyes, which were full of wisdom and indifference like autumn water in a deep pool, suddenly came into the eyes of all the old men and ladies. Okay, what a beautiful little girl. This exclamation undoubtedly fell into Bai Qianshun's ears. Her eyes were filled with smiles, and she looked at them funny, causing a group of old men and women who were standing still to look away in embarrassment. With a smile on her lips, she said, "Okay, I agree to your suggestion." She had this plan anyway, so there was no need to waste the free tools delivered to her door. In addition, if there are any star citizens who want to return, please contact them. From today on, I will start the infrastructure construction of Muyuan Star and devote myself to the development of Muyuan Star. I promise in the name of the Lord of Muyuan Star that as long as I am still here, Muyuan Star will never follow in the footsteps of the previous Star Lord Wang Zi. As citizens of Muyuan Star, you will never be treated unfairly again. A complete judicial system and social order will be established, and the Star Lord's arbitrary actions will no longer occur. Although Bai Qianshun's voice was clear, even slightly cold, it was powerful and resonant. It undoubtedly touched everyone's hearts and scratched their itch. The old star citizens they left behind do not seek great wealth or success, but rather stability and fair treatment. Especially Leng Xiao's father, Leng Jun, who had to move away and hide on Muyuan planet because he provoked people outside, was deeply touched. But after his mind wandered, he quickly came back to his senses, squinting his eyes and thinking calmly. This little girl does seem to be calmer and smarter than ordinary little girls, and she has a sense of respectability, but can she always be there? There are still two things to say about following the original intention at this time. After all, he had heard from other star citizens that the previous Star Master Wang Zi was quite humble and friendly when he first arrived, but later he could not withstand the temptation of wealth and power and gradually fell into madness. Old people who had more experience than him also had the same idea, even more than Leng Jun thought, but Bai Qianshun's words still had an effect. Coupled with her beauty bonus, the old man it was inevitable that the old ladies could not hold on, and their expressions became loose. At least they no longer showed unkindness or irritation on the surface, and even raised a slightly stiff friendly smile. The star owners have promised that if they still take Xiao, they will be a little ignorant. After all, they still live on the Jupiter planet and are the star citizens of the Jupiter planet. As for what they were thinking, Bai Qianshun curled her lips and didn't care. Time will prove everything anyway. In this way, Bai Qianshun and Xingmin initially established a friendly intention for cooperation. Oh, I ate it. The green cocoon on the giant tree struggled even harder after the old men and ladies appeared. The smile on Bai Qianshun's face faded, and her dark eyes looked up coldly. Then she stretched out her slender green-white fingers, and a ball of green light floated on the fingertips, and with a whoosh, create a bright green line and shoot out toward the giant tree in the sky. As the green light flashed across, the motionless green vines hanging on the giant tree seemed to come to life. They slid flexibly on the giant tree like a giant green python. The 15 giant cocoons hanging above clicked, clicked, and fell suddenly 3 times until they dropped to about 5 meters above the ground. The green vines wrapped around them all pulled away insidiously. The 15 vegetable thieves who were entangled in the giant vines also got free at this moment, but in the next moment, the 15 people without any support fell to the ground one by one like dumplings. The ground, which was still intertwined with countless green vines with exposed roots, suddenly sounded like a cry of pain. The old men and ladies headed by Yechin turned their heads towards Bai Jianchun in surprise. She could actually command and move the vines that Lao Qin had bound himself. Then her power level will never be weaker than Lao Qin. As a result, their eyes became burning, with a hint of inquiry. It shouldn't be. A young girl who has only just reached adulthood can actually have supernatural powers comparable to Yechin. Yechin is now an SS-level wood-type psychic, the strongest old man on their Muyuan planet. As for Baikin Chun's age, they don't doubt that she is an old cucumber painted green to pretend to be young. After all, Muyuan Star's preferences for selecting masters have never changed from the first star master to the present, and all those selected are just adults. Young and sentimental young girls, this time will definitely not be an exception. In the end, they could only blame it with complicated eyes on the fact that this Star Master is really a brilliant and extraordinary genius. Bai Jianchun smiled at them and had no intention of explaining. He just turned his head and moved his fingers nimbly. A green vine shot out from his wrist with a sharp sound, and grabbed a dark figure. Rub the ankles of the vegetable thief who is trying to escape. She stood there slim and graceful, with a very indifferent expression on her delicate and soft face. Then she raised her eyebrows slightly, a flash of light flashed in her dark eyes dotted by countless stars, and her right hand holding the vine moved gracefully in mid-air. After pulling it around, the vines jumped happily and then quickly shrank back.